joining us. I think I just let you on as a speaker.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope so. We're praying to the X gods this morning that everything works as it should.
It seems good on my end. I have Bennett coming up now and Paul as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well, that was quick. Let's get a quick sound check from everybody that I just lit up to make sure that we're good. Yeah, loud and clear.
Nice. I don't have a microphone today. I'm just on my laptop, so hopefully this will be all right.
Yeah, it's good. How about you, Bennett?
Doxing me on the space, John. No, I'm Carney. Pleasure to join up on this space today. I'm really excited for the conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely glad to have everybody here, and thanks everybody who has joined us live. So we might as well just get right into it and just talk about what we're going to be building together and give some people, some details about what's already happened and what's to come. So we could start probably by introducing the speakers, just for those of us who haven't been on a space with us before. We start.
Who goes first?
I
go first.
Please.
Got two speakers. Eric. I know. Cool. So hey folks, my name's Paul. I'm the founder of Somnia. Probably have met you guys on Twitter before. I do lots of things around Somnia.
Awesome. Now we can move on to Eric.
That was a very understated introduction. I do lots of things. Paul's the founder and CEO of Somnia. He's been building stuff for 10 plus more than that years. So Paul's, it's an understated introduction. Myself, I am the founder, or I'm essentially the co-founder, I should say, of Uprising Labs. So we're a Web3 game publisher. And between our team, we've been in the space for a while. So, personally in our careers, we published over 100 games. We have launched 3 blockchains together and a couple more things. So we've been around for a bit. Bennett?
Hey everyone. I'm Carney. I am the marketing lead and head of community over at Uprising Labs, handling all things community and in the trenches. So really excited to dive into this convo. We're also going to touch on Dream Catalyst and our partnership there in a little bit. So lots to talk about, but super, super excited for the agenda today.
Yeah, let's actually start by talking about the Dream Catalyst and kind of what we're doing together and give people kind of an idea of what's going on there and how they can get involved if possible.
Yeah, I can kick off this part. So Paul and I met, I guess, last year now. And we're talking about, projects and their success in the space. And, it's difficult to be successful in Web3. Like, let's not pretend that it's not. It's definitely an extra challenge. And so we cooked up this idea of about, how do we support projects to have a much higher chance of success? And for that to happen, they need a little more hands-on. And like I said, Paul's been in the space for a while. I've been in the space for a while. And we're like, how do we make this happen? And so this is sort of where we came with the accelerator. Obviously, our niche at Uprising is gaming, so really that's where the accelerator is focused. And so we've gone out and met with and talked to teams all over the place, Web 2, Web 3, both to come into the accelerator and build together with us. So that's sort of how we got here with the accelerator. We just honestly want to see teams succeed and have the best chance of success.
That's awesome.
Go ahead. It's really about helping devs go through the journey. What I've noticed, so for context, I've worked in the games industry for like 12, 13 years. There are loads of teams out there who are really good at building fun video games, But then there's a art and skill of how you do that well in Web3, how you create a token, how you create a community, and how you kind of take that to market effectively. Called this like the business side. I think what Eric's team are really going to be helping folks out with is like the business side of things and kind of mentoring them, helping them grow in that way, which I think is going to be super helpful for teams to just have a much higher probability of success.
Yeah, amazing. You were gonna say something there?
Let me tap in. Yeah, I'm just going to tap in Bennett here, and maybe you can talk about from your side sort of what you're doing and why you're here. Don't let me and Paul dominate the conversation.
No, absolutely. In terms of like what we're working on with different teams on the Web3 side, we've seen time and time again, especially in the gaming space. Obviously, the focus is to bring a lot of games to market and on chain. We've seen common mistakes with teams releasing collections too early, not having a strong go to market campaign in both Web 2 and Web 3. And some of the things that we're working on with these teams is to make their campaigns exciting, to bring culture back to gaming. Gaming has been, a very up and down niche this past year. That's the reality of the situation, but we're sensing a comeback. Not even, something to mention today, we just saw Off the Grid looking at getting listed over on Binance. We're sensing this whole wave of gaming excitement coming back to Web3. And it's important that we take measures to make sure that their games are seamless on chain. It's fast. Hence, Somnia's TPS is going to really assist us there. And there's a whole, plethora of reasons why, we truly believe on-chain gaming is going to be successful. And our bet is with Dream Catalyst to really, give the resources to these teams to be successful, and make sure that they're doing it the right way with industry experts such as myself. I've been in crypto for 8 years. Eric has been a part of multiple blockchain launches. Paul from Improbable. We have experts across gaming and crypto, and we're just going to make sure that these teams who, some of them are a little more experienced in Web3 and others not so much, but we want to make sure we give them the playbooks to succeed.
That's great. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the types of games that people could expect and just kind of give people some details on that. We have a couple of I think maybe at least one that's already out that people have been looking at. But generally, what are we shooting for as far as just genre, quality, things like that?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is everything. I don't know if that's a non-answer, but the truth is we're not trying to do just, bring in titles of just one type, but we'd like to see across the spectrum. So ideally what we're hoping to see out of this, and definitely what's shaping up is, mobile, PC, web, and everything from, casual to hardcore, right? So I think we don't want to just do only one genre and one sort of way of delivering it, such as like PC. I think that niches down a little too much for what we want to see, at least for the accelerator aspect. And I'll leave it to Paul to talk more about sort of the vision for the chain. But we sort of want to make sure there's something for everyone. And the beauty of it is that because we're not creating one game, this is not a one game accelerator. That's not a problem, right? If we try and cram too much into one game, that's not going to work. But we're just so lucky to have so many really talented studios working with us, and therefore I don't know if that answers the questions, but we are definitely looking across the whole spectrum.
No, I think Eric is right. I think we've been chatting about this a lot, and I think we don't really know exactly the genres, the platforms, the style of games that are really going to work. So we've kind of taken a broad portfolio approach is the way I kind of think about it. We're getting games with different genres, different platforms, something for everyone basically. And then as we kind of take those to market and help them come out there, we'll start to work out what works with our community, what drives well, and then we'll start to double down, I think. From my side, the vision for Somnia at the end of the day is enabling these games to put more stuff on chain. And so some of these games that you'll see, that you may have seen a couple already, they're very much what I'd call like Web 2.5 games. They are rich PC console games. They'll probably have NFTs. They'll probably have tokens. But the key thing there we're going to enable them to do is add their metadata from the game onto the chain. So what does that mean? So say it was a shooter. Every time you get a headshot, that can be registered on chain. or say it was Maelstrom, which is actually one of the games. Every time you win a match of Maelstrom, that might get registered on chain. So all those events are kind of there as like a log. And then other people can build companion apps around that data and kind of make new applications. So you could have someone making an app that has like a leaderboard. It just shows the ranking of everyone based on when they've won or lost games. You could have someone making a prediction market. They say, I reckon I'm going to win the next match. They put a bet down and they get paid out because of that. So what I'm really interested in is enabling these games to kind of grow ecosystems around them by enabling them to have more stuff on chain. That's one of the vibes of Somnia. The next thing for us is what I call composable games, which is a slightly longer term vision thing. So this is now taking not just the data of the game, but also moving the logic of the game on chain. And when you start to do this, other games can then pull from that logic and pull it into their games. Say you make, I don't know, a loot box mechanic and you put that fully on chain. Now another game can pull that in and easily put loot boxes into their game. And there can be loads of these mechanisms and mechanics that are being built fully on chain and other people are pulling that. So what you get is then more games can be created much faster. And game development for me is basically trying to explore the state space of all possible games and find out what's fun and find out what works for players. And when you have this kind of building blocks that you can pull on from all these other games and all these pieces of data, I think you'll get loads of games being built really fast and therefore find more fun video games, which is really the core of what games are about. And then you'll bring in more consumers because of that. So that's really the kind of longer term vision that we're enabling for Somnia. I think the logic part still requires a bit more tooling where we can enable game developers who normally code inside game engines to put that logic on chain easier. But we're already building stuff up there with the Uprising guys that I think is going to be really cool and really help that kind of side of things.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good breakdown of how we're taking games to the next level. And you mentioned Maelstrom, which is one of the games that we recently announced with Uprising. People have been asking a lot about that, so I think they'd be interested to hear some more details about how they could play and the Web3 elements that are coming.
Yeah, I'll definitely step in there. We recently announced Maelstrom. It is at Maelstrom Rise on X. Is coming to Somnia, and we should see testnet pretty soon. I don't think we can give out an exact date just yet, but it is playable right now on early access on Steam, and there will be a full updated relaunch in the coming months. So we're really excited to get that out. But the game itself is a naval battle royale with teams or solos modes. So you can play, in a team of 3 with your friends against 5 other teams, or you can go out and play some solos and squad up there. So there is a lot of collectibles, a lot of cool ships, a lot of cool skins, and a lot of these are going to go on chain. We haven't revealed too much about some of the other things happening, but we're really excited to bring more assets to Somnia and being able to have a seamless experience because I think it's a really underrated thing. When I've played other crypto games, what I've seen is sometimes these transactions take some time, they're slow, and our goal is to make them as speedy as possible. So we can do that with Somnia, unlike other networks. But in terms of like we have a special NFT mint coming up. I don't know how much we're allowed to say on this just yet, Eric. So I'm gonna hold my tongue here, but I'll toss it over to you if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I think Maelstrom's is a pretty special case for us. For us at Uprising, it's our sort of premier launch title. We've been working with the title for about a year, so it is an interesting case. I think it's a little bit different because the game actually came out originally in 2019. It had 500,000 users, so a ton of users. But the original dev team didn't really market it. They did not, localize it, and sort of all these things that a publisher normally would do and help you step in and make these sort of titles more successful. And so in this case, we've taken over the title together with a company named Forthright Entertainment, and we have rewritten about 70% of the code of this game already, which is just amazingly, just crazy. We did not think we were going to be rewriting 70% of the code. And so what we've done is we've taken it from an old version of Unreal 4 up to the newest version of Unreal 4, and we're going to move it to 5. We've redone graphics, we've added maps, we've added game modes, we've done rebalancing, like all these kind of things. where, we saw a game that was inherently fun. It had a great user base of like really great individuals, and we're like, how can we revitalize this game that is absolutely fun but take it to the next level? And that's really where we are with Maelstrom. And so taking into Web3 for us was sort of the next evolution of that, as we felt it just unlocked a whole lot of things with this game. Because as Carney mentioned, it has like this massive progressive system, and there's all kinds of ships and captains and mates and upgrades that you can use. And it's like, this is the type of game when we played it where like, just, I wish I could trade this, this upgrade, because they're like captains that you attach to your ship. Like, I wish I could trade it with one of my friends or sell it or reuse it and these sort of things. And so this for us was our premier launch title. Yeah. And so we approached Somnia and said, let's do this together. So super excited about Maelstrom. Yeah, go ahead and go and play it. We've got like game nights going something like 5 times a week, and it's just crazy. So
Yeah, I started playing a little bit the other night and found it extremely addictive. And just because it's actually like quite accessible, like it's possible to win. And I think that's because the matches are smaller and quick, and smaller as far as how many boats are in there. But I definitely was hooked on there for a couple hours and actually ended up winning a couple matches. And I liked how like the leveling up system, and I'm sure that you're going to be making that even more complex and interesting as it moves into Web3. So I'm really excited to kind of see how the game will evolve there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to jump in there too. There's going to be a major focus on guilds or clans. We haven't decided on the exact name. Or actually, I think we have. We just haven't announced what the exact name is for that. But there's going to be, our goal is to bring in all of the different communities within Web3 and kind of just expand and grow the pie, and allow users to and gamers go in and find their own communities within the game, and grow their fleet. It's going to be very exciting. There's going to be special rewards for different guilds that climb the leaderboards. That's going to be a huge focus for us to bring competitiveness back into Web3 gaming. That's something that I think certain games can lack at times. So guilds are going to be huge. And then, like you mentioned, John, it's going to be the progression system is going to be pretty in depth, and all this. We have some exciting announcements about all of that coming on chain and different rewards and such. So, again, it's a major focus to make sure the gamers feel rewarded while playing the games and also feel a sense of community, which we're trying to cultivate.
so I'm gonna derail the conversation. Um, you said grow the pie. So I would love to talk with Paul about this for a second. If we're going to derail things, is one of the things that we're really bullish on is sort of growing the pie, and I think this term has become more and more commonly used recently. And if people are not familiar with it, it's less about, hey, let's try and steal all the users. And, I use the word steal lightly from another blockchain over to ours. How do we get regular people in? How do we get normies in? How do we grow the pie of Web3? Because really, this is for us uprising, and I think we're aligned with Paul on this, is bringing more people into Web3, showing them what it can do. And Somnia gives us the ability to do that at a cost-effective way and to be fairly seamless. So with all the titles that we're working with, it's social sign-in. You sign in with an email, Gmail, Apple, whatever, right? We don't want people to have to necessarily make accounts. The gas is abstracted away. They don't have to pay anything to play the games. And obviously, gaming is such I think, a gateway. We've been calling it a Trojan horse into Web3 for years. And we think, gaming is something that appeals to a lot of people. And, for us, yeah, gaming is about really, really growing the pie. For people who may not know, for example, I was the head of product at Mantle and helped them launch their L2, which was, super interesting experience. That being said, I don't think Mantle, I don't mean to throw them under the bus, but Mantle, for example, their focus was not really growing the pie. We ended up taking users for sort of other ecosystems. And as people remember, we were sort of very head to head with Base during that period. Now, where I want to be is growing the pie. And so that's one of the reasons why, we've reached out to Somnia and been there. So Paul, I'm going to throw it over to you, bud.
Yeah, I think what Eric said is kind of Somnia's whole strategy. I think part of this is because we've come from like a Web 2 background and then came into Web 3. And we kind of sat there and we were like, there are so many strong game dev teams that are kind of breaking away from AAA at the moment. So for people that don't know, the games industry goes through like these cycles where everyone gets hoovered up by the AAA games industry, and then they start getting laid off and they make new studios. And so at the moment, they're going through a deconsolidation phase where they're making new studios. And we were just like, why are more of these studios not building on top of Web3? And so really what we're trying to do with Somnia is bring in all of those Web2 studios and bring them onto Web3. And that's why Uprising for us is such like a key partner, because they're going to be one of the key conduits to kind of help educate people and help them understand how to build a game in Web3, how to build a community in Web3 and do those kind of things. So that's a massive thing, the developer base. And then as Eric said, for me, it's then the consumer base. I think with the vision of what we all have in our minds of what Web3 could be, what blockchain should be, you need to have hundreds of millions of users to have that be successful. And the only way we can do that is bring in what we call the normie folks. I think we should ditch that word though. Just for me, it's just like general gamers. Gamers want to just have fun. They want fun games they can play easily. They don't want to have a wallet. They don't want to go download some random token from some random, get it from some random exchange. They just want to play games and have fun. And the blockchain and the technology behind should be like transparent infrastructure that I put about it. You shouldn't even know you're on blockchain, and then they should just be having fun and then go, oh wait, I can actually cash this out and make money from this. It's pretty cool. And so that's where I think the industry needs to get to, and that's what, again, me and Eric were super aligned here about growing the pie and trying to think about how you get new devs into the space and how you get new consumers into the space and getting kind of content and applications like the Uprising team have been doing. I think Maelstrom is just a fun game. Like I would play that game Web3 mechanics or not. And I think that's the core thing, fun games first, that will bring in a mass consumer base and making them seamless so you don't even know they're on blockchain at the end of the day.
And just a final comment on that, like our main focus is, and this is, it's funny because I'm in a lot of these different Web3 circles, and you know what, a new trend right now is to make sure that every game in Web3 has socials outside of X. And it's just like, we're like smacking ourselves in the face right now. We're like, we're hearing these major, other, I guess, competitors kind of focusing on, they're saying this summer they're going to focus on growing their socials outside of X. And it's like, that's something that our mentality has been, to grow socials, to grow a YouTube channel, to stream on Twitch, to grow outside of this echo chamber that we have on X, for all of our titles within, Maelstrom, and then also throughout Dream Catalyst. So, again, yeah, kind of like reiterating what Paul said, fun first gaming for all gamers.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that growing the pie kind of gets us out of the PvP kind of trenches that we're in as a space. So I really like that mentality as well. Does anybody have any more to say on that before we get back into the Dream Catalyst and explaining the accelerator a little bit? All right, that's cool. Then we can move on to that. So, for those who don't know, it would probably be good for us to explain like what an accelerator actually is and how Dream Catalyst works. Does anybody want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in and take it. We really we were trying to decide if we're going to call it an incubator or an accelerator. I'm not sure which word fits best. We chose accelerator because to us incubator is something that's much more early on. So the titles and that we're working with, I would say we're 80-20. I love to say 80-20 a lot. If you listen to me, I'm going to say it all the time. I would say 80% of the guys that are coming in are Web2 studios natively. That's sort of their jam. And they have a lot of background in building really fun games, and they have a good track record in it. 20% of the people coming in are Web3 native teams, and they typically are slightly smaller studios, but no less fierce in their ability to build. So super excited to work with those guys as well. And really what we're doing is just, like I said, we're not incubating the titles. The titles have already been built for quite a while. Typically, instead, we're just accelerating the progress for them. So most of the titles are anywhere from 2 to 6 months out from being released. So we're not really working with titles, to be honest, that are like, okay, we've got another 2 years of dev time in front of us. So one of the things for them coming in is there really needs to be something playable fairly quickly. And we think that's sort of where the market is right now. Happy to give advice to teams that are much earlier in the incubation stage, of course, but they just don't really fit with what we're doing at the moment. And really what we're doing is opening up our playbook of what we do as a publisher to them and helping them get these titles to market successfully. And as as Bennett said, avoid some of the common pitfalls that we've seen. And I think a lot of us listening know it. And like, just, for example, if you're thinking of one of those pitfalls, it could be, for example, releasing a token long before your game is ready, or, before you ever even had anything playable, and at one time that was totally acceptable. Like a couple of years ago in the last cycle, you could have gotten away with that and it would have been fine. But things have shifted so much. And for these teams that we're working with who are primarily focused on building amazing product, sometimes don't follow up or follow with these sort of things. So what we do is help them in that playbook understand sort of where the market is, what works, what people like, of course, and what really works well with their product, because every game is different and everyone is different. So yes, we have a playbook, but we also sit down. We sat down with the team 2 days ago for 3 hours going through their Twitter, their Discord, their go-to-market plan, and all these sort of things. And we do that on a regular basis with the teams to help them get ready for launch. So that's sort of the overall picture of what it is, and sort of what we're building or how we're supporting teams. Of course, we've been in the industry for a while, so we're able to help them connect on a BD side, connect with other teams launching, so they can support each other. I need to give a shout out to June. So I always like to give a shout out to June because I'm like super impressed with June. So June is on our team. He's Dr. June Yoon. He has a PhD from Stanford in economics. And so he does token economics and game economics. He worked at a Nexon studio in the past. He did economics for the Sandbox, who people might know. And so these are sort of the resources that we bring into the teams. And, he has all this experience building sinks and faucets, balancing things out. And so I'll give you an example. When we looked at Maelstrom were like, if you really want to unlock everything in Maelstrom, it's going to take you like decades of play, no joke. So in the current way that you're playing it, you basically have to choose a path. And we're like, we want people to be able to unlock more in the game just by playing it. So by sitting down with June and other teams and saying, like, how do we restructure this in the new version so people can access more quickly, but not too quickly? These are the sort of things we're able to work with on the teams to figure out some of that balance, which at the end of the day, you can have a fantastic game, but we've seen teams make mistakes, and then it just torpedoes the whole thing, which really is quite sad. So we're here to do our best and help them launch successfully.
And I'd also like to follow up. We've been in the industry for a long time, and myself on the creator side, and the community side, I've built many relationships with hundreds of guilds. Eric. We also have Nate. On our BD side, who have built relationships with anyone that you need on the partnership side. And it's just like we're making these builders' lives a lot easier who have smaller teams who really want to be focused on building out the game and building out the economy and building out things that are going to make it successful. And we're just here to assist that. And yeah, again, I know corny thing to say, but yeah, accelerate that process, because these relationships do take a lot of time. And if anyone knows in Web3, it's very difficult to reach out to certain individuals to get them to talk about something or to connect and even just try the game. We have built these relationships over years, and we're here to help these builders, and these builders are able to again focus on what's really important.
I think because of that, because we're lending our credibility to the projects, and we feel that Somnia is lending their credibility, not to say that every game is going to be a massive success, but vetting has been a really big part of this, about the quality of the builders, the studios, the projects, has been like a number one priority. And behind the scenes, we've been doing that for months. So super excited about the teams that are coming in and building. Like we really feel like they can bring the thunder, so to speak.
Yeah, very exciting. And also exciting is our upcoming collaboration, I guess you could say, with your existing NFT collection, where we'll be adding you to our quests and giving boosts to uh, owners of the NFT collection. I guess that's some alpha for everybody out there. Does anybody on either team want to talk about that?
I'll make a quick comment, but obviously, you guys are more the experts on on the questing platform. But we're really excited to drive more value to the uprising community and get them a little more involved on the Somnia community officially. So I know the holders are going to be very stoked about this one. We'll have an announcement in the Discord later today. But yeah, sorry to cut you off, Paul. I'll give you the mic.
No, no worries. I think for us, the whole point system quest platform, the reason why we built it, so we kind of so far I would say we've been playing with it. We've been kind of doing stuff with it and like poking it and prodding it and kind of getting it ready for prime time. What it really is a platform to support all of our partners in the ecosystem. Because what it allows us to do is kind of give value to the partners that they can then give to their community, and then their community will hopefully join the Somni community. Then also allows us to kind of point out different cool projects, kind of get people interested in them, get them using in them. And that we hope to create like a flywheel, because you guys will probably try it out because you want to get the incentives and want to get the points. But then you'll find out, this is actually a really fun game that I want to play and keep playing. And so we've been doing this quest stuff for a while, but I think now is really the time we're starting to unlock it in terms of the value, because we're going to point at all of our projects in the ecosystem and really help out here. I think this kind of thing we've done with the NFTs for Uprising obviously is really good for the Uprising community, but I think it's good for the whole Somnia ecosystem, because it would mean that now the Uprising community comes into Somnia, they start doing the quest stuff, they'll probably go to some other ecosystem projects, and that just helps everyone. Kind of, again, the concept of growing the pie for all. I think this is what you have to do as a blockchain. Like, I think a lot of people, when they're building a blockchain, they think they're building a technology platform, but I think of it more as you're building an ecosystem, a community that can kind of be used across all the different projects and help all the projects in the most efficient and effective way. And so that's why anyone else who may be in the ecosystem who's listening, please reach out if you want to do any kind of collaboration or deals like this, because we're very, very supportive of it. We want to help everyone in the ecosystem as much as possible.
Okay, let's do it then. So currently we have 47 comments on this. Drop a comment, and at the end of the space, we're going to pick a winner. We're going to send you a DM, and we're going to give you one of the Genesis Collection NFTs, so you can stack that for our points. You can then now stack that for Somnia points. Don't sell it. You can make a few $100, but don't sell it. Hold on to it. Yeah, so drop a comment below in this chat space. We're gonna pick a winner at the very end, and we're gonna DM you for your address. So check it out. Let's do it.
We'll also be picking questions out of the chat in a few minutes as well. So if you have anything to ask us, feel free to throw them in the chat, or you could request to speak as well, and we'll lit you up. And I also want to mention that if you feel that you want to apply for the Dream Catalyst program, if you're a developer out there, you could go to dreamcatalyst.io and just check out the information there and find the application there as well. And yeah, I think we probably could move on to some questions. I see that It's Coma has been waiting for a minute. Let's see if you have a question for us. I might have caught you unexpectedly. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if we have anything in the questions, or if anybody on stage currently has anything to add before we move on.
I was tagged in a question just to clarify for this for someone who dropped a comment here. The game, if you go up to the top right here, if you want to play Maelstrom, you can play it right now. It's on Steam. You can either search up Maelstrom on Steam or go up click Maelstrom Rise and join up the Discord, and we have the link right in there. We'll also have a website up in the future where you can go and play right from there. But just wanted to clarify there, the game is live and you can go out and play it right now.
Yeah, so even though the Web3 aspect won't be live on Somnia for it'll be pretty quick here actually. We're still tracking points, so all the points you get in the game currently are actually being tracked. You can join our points platform as well, and you'll be able to cash in those points later. So FYI, if you play the game now, you sign up to the points platform later, it will still sync back your points from day one. Doesn't have to be you don't have to sign up to the points platform first. We will retroactively apply those. So yeah, go and grind the game, have some fun. We've had, like Paul, we've had people try and game the system. The only way to do it though is to play the game. To be honest, like that's the only way you're gonna get the points. So just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 XP in game equals 1 XP on the platform. We keep it simple.
I did not know this. That is some serious alpha that you guys can start grinding points already. I did not know that.
We got a couple people in the comments asking a little bit more about your NFT collection. If you want to tell people where they could find them, maybe the genesis of the Genesis collection. Just any comments on that?
Yeah, I'll hop in there. So if you search, keep it simple. It's so the collection is called Uprising Genesis. It's the Origins collection. So this was our first collection. It was a free mint launched in August of 2024, so last year. It was peak bear market. We're not afraid to go out and launch at any climate, in any climate. Our focus is to, build great games and bring value back to our holders. And we're doing this in a plethora of ways. We'll have more information out. Can't release everything today, but we'll have more information out about the other utilities of the Uprising collection in the future. However, right now, you'll be able to get bonuses on the rewards platform. The art is amazing, so I recommend to PFP it. Shout out the Trace Kiddos studio who cooked these up for us. The one of ones are crazy. Mine is the fire one of one. Love it. Gotta rock this forever. And then you can go up on OpenSea. Probably the easiest way to do it is just go on OpenSea, type Uprising. It's the verified collection. It's usually the first one that pops up there. Or if you want to, be a little safer, go to our Discord, to the official links, or I'll try to pin it up here. But essentially, again, the collection is going to be able to offer bonuses and multipliers. You get daily points for holding the NFT, and you got to keep it delisted. So the focus is on the diamond handers to continue to hold the NFT, and they stack multipliers along with our partner collections. So all with that being said, I recommend to climb those leaderboards. We're currently in season 0, which we consider a pre-season for the Recruits Rewards platform. And we'll have season 1 launched relatively soon, actually, with a lot more gaming communities getting involved for that one. There are so many teams that hit me up, close to every day, wanting to get their collections on the platform. So we'll have a massive season 1 launch in the future. We'll keep the date conspicuous, but it's going to be fun. Again, with the holders, we've been giving out rewards through Maelstrom as well. We'll have some more things on that in terms of like I don't know how much I want to dive into this just yet, but stay tuned. A good thing to always hold is one of the Uprising NFTs because it's going to be a core feature of our ecosystem. And
You
I
guys are
just saw. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
No, my bad.
No. You guys are so much better at me at not leaking alpha. I just leak stuff all the time on these spaces. You guys are much better. I need to learn, study.
Yeah, it's hard. Trust me, I understand. It's difficult to not kind of share the many games that we have in the accelerator, the teams that we speak to every day, the game quality, the quality of these titles that are going to come out of the accelerator. I think I cannot be more excited. And I think we'll have some pretty fun things coming out next week. That's the one thing I'll leak. Next week, keep notifications on for both Somnia, Uprising, Dream Catalyst, all that. There's gonna be some fun things being dropped, week after week. So that's your one hint right there.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for next week, everybody. So I think we have It's Coma ready, raising your hand. You can speak now if you're ready to talk.
Thank you. You're like one of the first people that pronounced it correctly. I really appreciate that. My question is actually for Paul. You mentioned something with like tracking like headshots or maybe number of kills or something like that on then putting it on the leaderboard. This is kind of like a two-part question. Like the first question is like, do each applications create their own standard of what that like object data is going to look like, and then other people can leverage that in that way? And then the second question is, you also mentioned something about like other apps collaborating together to like share data to make building easier. Are you talking about building apps easier or just sharing of data easier? Like in my mind, I'm thinking potentially like I build app A, share that data in the wild, and app B can maybe even leverage like maybe like character data and put it in their game. Like, is that actually what you're thinking? And if so, like I guess would app B get charged by app A to use that data? Like I don't know. My mind is kind of racing in terms of what the sharing concept looks like. So yeah, I have like two questions. If you could just address one and two, that would be great.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things here. Yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
let me do question one? Let me do question one. I'll let you do question two. Here's the alpha. We're gonna drop our alpha, and hit me up. Someone DM me with a better name. We've been like racking our brains. We're calling it Battle Records. There's got to be a better name. We are through the accelerator, through our own program. So we have, I would say, at least 10 games so far using our battle records on chain. And I know there's going to be other people are doing other things, so I'm just going to speak for us. And we are using a standardized interface with smart contracts, meaning the way that the data is stored and the shape of the data is the same across all of the games. So login sessions, play sessions, events, multiplayer matches, wins, losses, everything like that. So it's standardized actually across the way that it's done. And this is something we've been working on for months. What this allows us to do then is build modules on top of it that are also standardized and then can be slightly tweaked as necessary. So that means we just need to build one leaderboard front end that can be applied to every single game. Right? We need to build one prop bet system that can be applied to every game. We need to build one nemesis system. So if you're playing Maelstrom and Kearney thinks me 10 times and I'm just like, hate that guy, I'm going to put $10 bounty on his head, it will work for every game across the system. So for us, the power is in numbers, in the ability to leverage it. And if every game is different, we're sort of rebuilding the wheel every single time. So for us, certainly if it's like a head shot kill, we're able to record that in the metadata, and you can adjust your front end to listen to that specific event. But in that way, every module can listen to events by name, for example. So again, I could say, Carney's the worst player ever, and I'm going to put $50 in that if he plays over the next 30 days at least 10 times, he's going to get worst player ever award from Maelstrom. And if it happens, then I get some money, for example. So you're listening to events and these sort of things is the way that we plan on handling it, and we plan on sucking in as many games as possible because it's free to use. And so for most games, there is no loss in them recording more data on Somnia, even if they are building on another chain. They could be building on like base, and they just can't afford to keep all these battle records there. Like it just doesn't make sense. But there's no reason that they can't keep those battle records on Somnia, and people can make sort of those bets and use those leaderboards there. So we're very agnostic in our approach. Okay, sorry, Paul. I'll throw it to you for part two. And if you have anything to add, that's sort of our approach and how we're doing it. And we believe that we have enough groundswell of games to make it worthwhile to pay attention to and hopefully have some fun.
Yeah, so what Eric's saying is basically a protocol to define how games put their metadata on the chain. I think we will be kind of evangelizing that to other games in the ecosystem outside of the Uprising games to hopefully standardize this across the whole ecosystem. And that will mean, as a dev, you can plug into this data layer in a seamless manner and not have to plug into multiple different standards. However, it is a blockchain, it is an open system. Other games may do their own route, but we're going to try and push kind of like one system so that it's unified across everyone. The other thing we're adding is the ability to like discover these protocols and definitions. So we're creating the system where you can register all the data, how the definition of that data and what it kind of looks like, and then subscribe to it. And that will allow you as a dev to kind of find all these interesting data sources and be like, oh, that one's pretty cool, I want to pull in that. And then people can make protocols as well. That can also be discovered through that. And that's obviously how you could monetize it with protocols. Now, the second thing you said about the data market is something that we are currently kind of prototyping how that could be done, because I think it is an incredible idea. If you can put data on chain, and then if other people are listening to it and reacting to it and using it in some form, you get paid for that in some way. I think that opens up, it's not just gaming, that's like so many different verticals and industries that can apply to. The issue is how you do it effectively and how you make that kind of system where people can publish data and then react to that data and then get paid for that. And we are currently looking at a way you could do that. And I think that would be incredible because there's a whole new business model there of just adding data to the chain, and then that creates value. So say, I don't know, I'm a football league in the UK, I start just putting all my wins and losses of the football league, and then other apps start springing up listening to that data, and I get paid just by putting that data on there. So I think there's a huge industry there, but working out how you do it is the challenging part, and how you work out the economics, and definitely something we're looking at. But the first thing is kind of what Eric's saying, just making the standard, getting that adopted by people, making it easy to discover the data, and making the protocols so it's easy to plug into it.
Thank you both. Yeah, that's what I was hoping the answer would be for the first one, Eric, because yeah, I just didn't, like, as a dev myself, like if I ever wanted to leverage something like that and all the data is so like inconsistent, it would just be a nightmare. But yeah, I really appreciate the response.
Awesome. I'm just looking through some of the other questions here and the comments. This one might be a hard one. What's the key factor that would make a Dream Catalyst submission successful? I'm sure that like everyone is different, and that's kind of a hard thing to quantify. But if any of you do have any thoughts on that, as I look through some of these other questions here.
Yeah, I will tell you, Ryan Secret, my co-founder, who's been a game publisher for 20 years, done over 100 titles, and has had a lot of lessons in success and failure over that time. Definitely more success than failure, or he wouldn't still be doing this as a career. So he, generally speaking, picks winners. The very first thing we look at, and the very first thing I think everyone looks at, is your deck. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be at least okay. And that is an instant disqualifier for maybe 80% of projects to apply to an accelerator and incubator. Like again, it doesn't have to be the world's best deck. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking to say, oh, these guys formatted everything absolutely perfect. We want some amount of substance. But if you can't come up with a reasonable deck, I don't think you can come up with a reasonable video game, because the time commitment is far more. So I'll say that as the very first thing. If you want to get into any accelerator or incubator or anything else, make sure that you sharpen up the deck and have a good value prop, and really discuss what you're building. And then from there, that will open doors for you. So always make sure that's done first.
Yeah, there's some great thoughts there. I have a couple of other good ones here. One is will there be additional rewards in Somnia for participating in the content creator event that Uprising recently announced? And are there any plans to migrate the collection from Maelstrom to Somnia after mainnet?
Yeah, I'll jump in, and I think I dropped a reply. Shout out to Firu. Apologize if I mispronounced your name. No, so not the content creator contest right now is for the recruits platform. That's uprising related. However, I think we should most definitely plan some contests for the other titles when we get them over on testnet. So we'll definitely be doing that as we go to market with those games. And then secondly, short answer is yes, but I can't comment further on that. So going back to the typical yes, it will we'll be doing things on Somnia is the short answer.
Awesome. Yeah. And another good one here, I think Paul will have some thoughts on this. Is Somnia going to be primarily focused on gamers, or are we looking to get a balance into different aspects?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for us, the way we kind of think about it, so Somnia is a general purpose blockchain. You can build anything. We have projects across gaming, metaverse, DeFi, AI, social, NFTs. We have the whole gamut of projects. But I think we are really, I'd say, doubling down and focusing on gaming because, first of all, we've been in the game industry for over 12 years. We understand it pretty well. But secondly, as Eric was saying, I think it's one of the most obvious places where you can grow the whole Web3 pie. There are loads of really strong devs which we can bring into Web3 from the Web2 industry. There is loads of consumers which want to play fun games, which if you put them on blockchain, they will come and play. And so for us, we're gonna be doubling down on gaming, and then obviously we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the metaverse sector. I don't like to use that word anymore because metaverse is dead. But with the stuff we're doing with Problem M Squared, there'll be stuff there. Kind of think about that more like sports and music is the way I think about that. So I think, yeah, we're definitely gaming is like a double down for us. I think I'd call it really entertainment. That's the way I kind of think about it. And gaming is obviously a massive chunk of entertainment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm seeing not any other new ones other than that coming through. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Somebody says, "What about Somnia Cat?"
Somnia Cat. What's that? Is this one of the community projects that sprung up? You may not have seen.
It must be. That's why it's funny to see, I guess.
Well, and we need to find. I haven't seen Somnia Cat. I haven't actually. I think I have seen Somnia Cat around Twitter a bit. We haven't met the team. I think we need to meet the team to get to know a bit better.
And somebody says, "Is there a build for the fastest ship on the fastest blockchain?" I guess they're asking in Maelstrom, is there actually a difference between like the human, orc, and dwarf ships, or is it just aesthetics?
No, so each ship has its own unique abilities. We have an FAQ going out probably by tomorrow, and we had to update it a bunch because there's so many different game mechanics. But I think the Ashbourne, if I'm getting the name correctly, on the human ship is going to be the fastest. You could probably because it's the smallest ship. Typically, like how it looks is how it moves. Think like Rocket League would probably be a good example. Like the bigger cars in Rocket League have bigger hitbox. Again, same thing in Maelstrom, except on water. So yeah, the Ashbourne on the human side is I believe the fastest.
The I think so. As the different races have different ships, and then depending on what race you are, you can have different captains and mates on your ship, and then depending on which captains and mates you have, it also affects your special abilities and all of your stats. So there's many different builds that people like to run in different sort of directions. So nothing is aesthetic only, basically. So there's quite a bit of depth there in the type of build, and then the strategy of how you play your build.
Yeah, that's good to know. I just picked an orc ship because it looked cool.
Orcs are a good one. And I saw another comment that just came in from Fire again. Yes, so tournaments, something we've been cooking up for some time and getting prepared are going to be those custom lobbies. And those are just going through bug testing, which can take some time at the moment. So those are going to help facilitate some of the tournaments that we plan on hosting on Maelstrom. Kind of tying in again with tournaments, with the guilds, different competitions, different rewards, unique rewards. All these things are kind of going to come together on the major launch. So absolutely. We had some good ideas on different things that will happen throughout that tournament. I know we just talked about it yesterday, Eric. We're probably going to do something charity related as well. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good one. A lot of different, major gaming creators are going to be participating into that one. We've been talking to them for some time. We're just making sure all the details are ironed out for that.
Amazing. And I think that probably brings us to the end of our time here. But just to wrap up, I wanted to remind everybody to just check out the Dream Catalyst website if you're interested in that. And also look out to both Somnia and Uprising next week for some very exciting announcements. Does anybody else have anything to add, or anywhere that people should go in the meantime while they're waiting for those announcements?
Yeah, I would say join the Dream Catalyst Discord. We're going to have other different kinds of creator programs, dev programs, all these sort of things for a Dream Catalyst club. And both we want it to be educational, so you guys can learn to do some things, but at the same time, give you a chance to support some of the games, learn the alpha of what's coming out with them. And yeah, I mean, if you guys want to get whitelisted for things or potentially whitelisted for future airdrops from those games and that sort of stuff, I would say the alpha is just go to the Discord, be involved, be supportive, and then in return, I know that those teams will also be supportive of you as both players and creators and everything else. So the best way is just to jump in and get involved. We're really not that far away. We're in there every single day, so you can always reach out to us.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks a
Bye
lot.
bye.